What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Real Estate Investing School YouTube channel. Today we're going to dive into a topic that I get asked about all the time. I'm really excited to tell you guys about, and that is hard money. So we're going to go the ins and outs of it, what it looks like, what it is. Like, is it a scary thing? Is there a lot of risk in it? How to utilize it to create passive income coming up. What's going on? Super excited to talk hard money and what that means. What is it? Everything around it. You guys have heard me talk about deals I've done in the past, and one recently that I've done that I used all hard money for, and that's my beach house in Maui. And I talk about how I bought that for no money, and I did that through utilizing hard money. And so I wanted to make this video just to break down what hard money is and how you can go and access that and use that to your advantage. Now, you guys that have been following for a little bit now, you know my strategy within real estate investing is to utilize OPM or other people's money, or at least the least amount of my own money to build the most amount of passive income. Now, that might sound risky and that might sound scary and it might sound like a scam to some of you as well. Like, how come you don't want to use any of your own money, or why would you use someone else's money and risk it all for them? When you understand the power of leverage and the power of real estate, you realize it's not risky at all. And in fact, it ends up being something that is very, very safe, and you feel safe doing it. And so we're gonna go over the ins and outs of that, but it's important to understand that real estate and making real estate work is leverage, right? Everything we do is leverage. Our life revolves around leverage. If we take a simple example of someone who works at a grocery store, well, guess what? Somebody owns that grocery store, right? They're making money off the top. They're leveraging somebody else. Maybe that's the bag boy, maybe that's the cashier that's working for $10, $15 an hour. They're leveraging the fact that they're willing to work for $10, $15 an hour and paying them that, right, to make money and sell the groceries. You guys get the idea. Everything revolves around leveraging. And so if you can get on the right side of leverage to where you're leveraging other people's money and not being leveraged, you create a win-win scenario and it works out. Obviously, for the person that's working the cashier, it's a win-win scenario. That's why they're doing it. For them, they're doing their job so that they can make money, and for them, that's a win. It's a good trade-off, right? Same thing goes for the person who actually owns the grocery store. It's a good trade-off for them. It's a win-win because they're willing to pay somebody, right, to make more money. And so understanding this concept of creating a win-win but also creating leverage is really important. Now let's take that and let's transition that over into hard money. Why would somebody give you their money to go and invest that in real estate to make more money? It's the exact same concept with a bank. Why would the bank give you money to then go and use that money to make more money, right? It's because there's something in it for them. There's this win-win scenario, right? For the bank, they charge interest, right? So that takes out a lot of risk for them. They say, hey, I'm willing to loan this person this money because the upside is I'm collecting interest and I'm getting paid back more money than I actually loaned to that person. Well, guess what? It's the same thing with hard money, right? Hard money, the difference is it's not collateralized as much a lot of times, right? It's usually from either someone that's a private institution, they're loaning you that money, right? A bank, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. There's a lot of checks and balances. They want to make sure, like, before they give you money, that you're a person that's responsible, right? They're going to check your credit. They're going to go through and make sure you have the income to support it. Hard money is different, right? You don't have to jump through as many hoops. And because you don't have to jump through as many hoops, the interest rate is a little bit higher. And so diving into how to leverage this hard money, first thing to understand is there's a lot of companies that are willing to offer hard money, right? It is. Like, a lot of times we think of, hey, it's so hard for me to find money or find someone that's going to loan me money. No, there's a lot of people with a lot of money that would love to make 10% 12%, 15% on their money out there. So it's not hard to find. You can even Google it and look things up. One of my favorite ways to find like credible hard money lenders, first is if you know the person. If you know somebody, that's the easiest because they know you, they trust you, you have that relationship with them. If you don't want to go that route, that's fine too, but that's usually the easiest way to get money to work out a deal. The next thing I love to do is jump into like Facebook forums. If there's a local forum, for me, like being from Utah real estate investors, right? Little things like that, or credible sources. Maybe it's Bigger Pockets, maybe it's the community of real estate investing school, and you reach out and you say, hey, who's been a good hard money lender that you've used in this area? Has it worked out? Who would you suggest, right? It's really good getting referrals from people that you also know and trust. And I've loved that just because I don't have to go do all my research on my own. I still do, but it's not just Googling something and hoping I find somebody, right? It's actually getting these referrals that other people have used and done business with, and I can pick their brain on what's worked well. So once you have your hard money lender and you have this asset that you want to go and take down, a lot of these hard money lenders will charge points, right? And a point, usually it's a point up front, which is a set fee, and then they're going to charge an interest rate on that money. So let's say you're borrowing $1 million, right? 1 point of $1 million is going to be $10,000. So it's a charge, or 1% is the same thing as 1 point, is what they're charging you to use their money. So a lot of times with hard money, you're going to pay that up front. A standard is going to be 1 to 3 points, right? 1 point is going to be on the lower end. And this is all like what you can negotiate. If you can negotiate no points and a higher interest rate, like you get to decide and you can run the numbers on what makes the most sense for you. But a lot of these companies are going to want 1 to 3 points up front. That's how they make a quick little fee. It's less risk for them right off the bat. Now, as far as what to expect on an interest rate, this is always changing with the market, right? Always changing. Anywhere from 7% to 15% is pretty normal, right? 7 or 8% is going to be on the low end, and you're usually going to get a better rate the more track record you have and the more strong you look financially, right? It's less risk involved for them. If you don't have as much of that, or you don't have someone backing you, maybe you're going to have a little bit higher of an interest rate, as well as depends on the market, okay? But ultimately, don't let this scare you away. With hard money, so many people, they look at it and they say, I'm not doing that. That's 15% interest, right? Why would I ever do a 15% interest rate on a home? Well, guess what? If you can take that 15% and you can go and turn that into making a 30% return, well, you just use someone else's money to leverage 15% return for yourself, right? 30% overall, 15 of that goes to them. Now you didn't use any money, and the leftover 15% goes straight to you in your pocket. And so that's the power of leverage, and that's the power of, it really doesn't matter what the rate is as long as it fits in your numbers. Okay, next, let's talk about how you can utilize that for you. One of the most common ways is the BRRRR strategy. And even backing up a step further, let's say you were going to flip a house, right? You want to get the best deal on this house, and so that they say, hey, if you want the best deal, you got to give me an all cash offer. We need to be able to close quick. And so you can actually use hard money to close all cash, okay? Like I said, a lot of times you're paying those points. Sometimes what the lenders want to see is that you also have some skin in the game. So they want to see a down payment, usually 25% of the total purchase price, or they want to at least know that there's equity sitting in the deal, right? If there's equity in the deal, they feel more comfortable because if they ever had to fire sale it, there's still money involved for them. They can get their money back. But the better price you get this for, you're paying all cash for it. Later on, you're going to fix it up, right? And that can also be worked into your loan. You can actually use hard money. They'll loan you the money that it also needs to fix it up, right? You might have to provide bids from different contractors so they know that, okay, this is relative, what he's asking for is normal, but they'll give you that money as well, right? Most of the time. So you go from buying this house, you're gonna go and flip this home, you buy it all cash, right, that you borrowed from a hard money lender. You put some money into it that you borrowed from a hard money lender, and you flip this house and you make a profit, okay? Now, out of that profit that you make, right, you sell the house, you get paid now, you then pay off all of the hard money along with the fees and the interest and whatever you were paying. A lot of times throughout that period, you're gonna pay interest-only payments as you have the loan going, which is nice. You're not paying a full amount with the principal and everything. You're just paying interest-only payments. And then when you pay off that loan, it covers everything that you borrowed and you keep what's left over, okay? So essentially in that scenario, you were able to use majority of someone else's money, acquire an asset, fix it up. You built in this sweat equity. Now there's more equity that's built into the deal. You sell it and you keep all of that comes from the sale, all right? Now, applying this to the BRRRR strategy, same exact concept. You borrow someone else's money, you take down the deal, you buy it, right? You fix it up using their money as well. Like I said, sometimes they're gonna make you come up with a down payment on your own, which you can actually go borrow that down payment. You can, use your own money for the down payment, whatever you do. Sometimes if there's enough equity in the deal, right, that you're finding, did a good job finding the deal, they won't require you to put any of your own money in. But ultimately, when you go to BRRRR it, instead of selling the property, you just refinance out of it into a long-term debt. Now, the reason you're gonna go to a long-term debt or a long-term loan on the property is because you're gonna get a better interest rate, right? A lot of times these hard money loans, they're quicker loans. They're usually 12 months, right? 12 months, sometimes you can extend them to 18 months or 2 years. But ultimately it's a quicker loan. It's meant to buy something, fix it up. It's more of a short-term loan. Plus, you don't really want to hold it long-term anyways because you're spending more on interest, right? It's going to be a higher interest payment anyways. So when you go refinance out of it, you're capitalizing on all of that cash that was created in that deal. So now once I've paid off my hard money lender, I have a long-term loan. I can rent this out. It's going to cash flow. But because of the equity that was created, I'm able to use that as the down payment on my long-term loan, okay? So I'm gonna give you a really quick example of this in a property that I just bought. I've done this before in a previous video, but I'll just break it down really quick. So the price of the home was $1 million. I knew I was getting a good deal on it, and it was worth a little bit more than that without fixing it up or doing anything. Well, ultimately, they'll come out and they'll appraise it, the hard money lenders, and they'll say, hey, you'll say, hey, I'm planning on putting, in this case, it was 150 grand. I'm buying it for $1 million, planning on putting $150,000 into it, and I think it's gonna be worth 1.5, really in this case, it was 1.55, all said and done. And so they come out, they appraise it, and they say, yes, we think it's gonna be worth that once you fix it up. And so if you look at that, I know I just created in my expenses, I have the $1 million loan, I have the fees associated with that, which was 1%, so that's $10,000. So now I'm at $1,010,000. My rehab, right, which is 150 grand. So now I'm at $1,160,000 total. And then any of my interest fees throughout the process. I knew there's gonna be interest payments that I'm paying to hold that money, which isn't super expensive depending on how long you hold it for, right? So I factor all of those in, but because the house is gonna be worth $1.5, $1.6 thousand, and my expenses are only $1.2 million at the most, well, now I just created $400,000 of equity or $350,000 of equity. And so what ends up happening, or in this case, when I refinanced out of that debt, I was able to pay all of that back, and that extra $350,000, that was my down payment on the long-term loan. And so the whole purpose of this is I was able to utilize someone else's money, hard money, right, to get into a deal that eventually when I refinanced it, I didn't have any of my own money into it because that equity that was created was what the bank needed for the long-term loan. So hopefully this makes sense. Obviously there's so many different directions we can go with this, but I just want to make this quick video to really like help you understand that there is so much power in utilizing hard money, and it's not as scary and as intimidating as most people think. Now, the key to this, and this is what you have to remember, is you don't want to get into a property that isn't going to be worth more once it's fixed up. If you go buy a property that costs $1 million and you put 150 grand into it and now it's only worth $1.1 million, that is not a good use of hard money because you're going to be in it backwards, right? You want to go find those properties that have the value add opportunity, and you can go put 100 grand into it and it's worth 300 grand more. Those are the deals that you want to be able to find to ultimately get the best use out of using and investing with hard money. So, hope that was helpful for you. Like, subscribe, and we got more videos to come.